Hello, Ivy here. This podcast is entitled The Carnival of the So-Called Experts, the Clown Show. Roll up, the circus has arrived. The UK Big Top is in town, with all the key entertainers out in force. It is truly wonderful to see that not only UK members of the general public and many international communities, particularly from the USA, but blue ticks are now joining in increasing numbers, having noticed this new game the British royal family and its partners in the UK media have begun to play daily. Audience members can now predict with 90% certainty which clowns will come out to play and when. The methodology of the game is to guess which order they will appear in the media ring, following the negative news spillage elsewhere in the supposed hidden confines of the British royal family. Without fail, right on cue, the minions in the UK media crawl out from their base under the rocks and perform their latest poor quality performative piece in their role as UK media royal brown-nosers. Pride and self-esteem are not familiar emotions of this crew. The motivation is either to supplement inadequate pensions or to top up the diminishing wages since the recipients of 4 years bullying and harassment in the UK and 1 year and counting of goading and gaslighting when challenged, of the same recipients now resident on another continent. Their clown costumes have additional symbols of the letter D, as everyone else could see that the level and type of illegal activity against the only member of the British royal family who is a person of colour and her husband and the largest income generator within the monarchy and whose patronage attracted the highest level of tangible and measurable incomes was never going to just sit there and absorb the disrespect. The Sussexes are no one's slaves. The Royal Rota, under the instruction from the British royal family, played themselves and lost. The royal family wanted the spotlight to stay on the heirs, but they loved the benefits of the brighter lights shining on the Sussexes. Jealousy and envy took over, and the mistreatment began of the Sussexes. The Royal Rota Clowns' income dropped considerably, and in the case of this motley crew, anger took over and became their motivation to pursue the Sussexes, even though they were no longer funded by UK taxpayers. Clearly, that age-old reason given for the previous harassment was a handy peg to use to hang their outrageous behaviour, but in reality, the severe loss of income and the real danger of loss of employment fed the anger. One member of that group, who apparently is out of the inner circle of the Rota Clowns, is on record as saying that in a 30-year career in the media industry, the highest earnings came from the 4 years that Sussexes were in the UK, and now financial hardship beckons. So, in reality, the British royal family are angry because their slave regime did not frighten the Sussexes, and they promptly left. And now the UK monarchy is facing real challenges regarding survival due to a combination of the majority of the British royal family is approaching or above pensionable age, and the others have negligible work ethic or competency or both. There is also a huge gap in ages before the next cluster of foot soldiers were born. So there is real concern about the practical day-to-day activities, duties of the firm. In essence, the British royal family wanted the bright spotlight, but did not expect to do the work to go with it. It seems they wanted Harry and Meghan to do the work, as long as it did not outshine the heirs. but for the others to take the credit for it. Whilst Harry and Meghan stood either side of these people, holding a spotlight on them, like the slaves in an opulent setting they were expected to be. I think that there is real concern that the future king will struggle to actually be a useful or competent monarch without his taken-for-granted younger sibling being there to share the weight of expected outcomes. Add to that, neither the next king or his eldest son are as popular as their media pals have led them to believe all these years. So there is a real concern about the lifespan of the monarchy and real fear of unemployment for the Royal Rota Clowns. I really do not know why the Rota Clowns wear invisible chains around their necks, because they come to heel in a regimented fashion when called upon by the royal family. The practice is a stain on the journalism profession and the UK. When you have a nation's media operating according to a quid pro quo arrangement with its monarchy, there will never be fair, honest or ethical reporting from or about either party. As I have stated in articles and podcasts previously, the British royal family, newspaper barons, royal reporters and government work hand in hand to ensure each other's preservation. Let's have a little look at distraction theory. Distraction, in terms of psychology, is the process of directing the attention of an individual or group from a desired area of focus and thereby blocking or diminishing the reception of desired information. Distraction comes from Latin dis, which means apart, and trahere, which means drag. So distraction is when you are dragged away from your task or from your worries. There are three main types of distraction, and using driving as an analogy. Visual, for example, taking your eyes off the road. Manual, taking your hands off the wheel. Cognitive, taking your mind off driving. The British royal family and its fake power. British media creates distraction on the orders of the British royal family. The media always oblige, under the approval of the newspaper owners. The UK government stays on the right side of all of them. All groups are under scrutiny, and the first three of the four are becoming weaker, and two of them, which is the royal family and the British media, are becoming obsolete. Their working models are outdated, and due to their intransigence and methodology of using the other group to gaslight the public, and failing now, their demise will happen quicker than they suspected. It is not the fault of Harry and Meghan that the British monarchy is in decline. It is the refusal to change with the times and the hunt the slave mentality, Harry and Meghan, which opened a window for the world to see the less than glowing activities of the royal family and its media. In terms of the tactics and behaviour of the royal Rota Clowns, here's a short list. They are there to be the propaganda arm of the British royal family. They are never to be overcritical of any member of the royal family, unless it is to distract from another member of the royal family with a story to be told that is more damaging to the institution as opposed to the damaging of an individual. People outside of the line of succession are expendable. In the days before social media was available, the media rhetoric in the newspapers was enough to make or break individuals. Today, news on social media platforms is much quicker, and its reach is much wider than paper copies. Social media platforms, where people can exchange views by the second, beats even the online newspaper editions. The ability of the newspapers and designated outlets to roll out their rhetoric and win vast numbers of the general public over with their intended views does not work as well as it used to, with the advent of so many social media platforms. Now we have official Royal Reporter social media accounts and a host of burner accounts per reporter, some of which pretend to be a person of colour. The content is usually toxic, very argumentative, and quite quickly, if the discussion is heated enough, the Royal Reporter gives themselves away by their content and the language used. The account gets shut down and they open up another. The way Royal Reporters attack Sussex Squad members is dangerous on occasion, divisive, gaslighting as its main theme, and a tendency to then investigate said squad members for anything but good reasons. They complain about the use of usernames rather than the use of real names, and yet all of them have burner accounts where they save their most disgusting rhetoric. Many of the Carnival of so-called experts have burner accounts too, and some of them belong to right-wing social media platforms, as do the Rota Clowns. Distraction stories are now so predictable. More and more members of the public are now openly stating when a certain story appears in the media, can guess which one will need a distraction story, and the countdown begins. 99.9% of the time, the public are right. Now we have blue tick people posting when they have guessed what is a distraction story. The ever-increasing numbers of blue tick people in a number of countries and professions are now openly stating that they understand why Meghan and Harry left the UK, and that they did not see it before, but now, having worked out the pattern and style of content used against the Sussexes in particular, they now fully support the Sussexes. I think it's important to say I am not counting those who professed hate and who now profess support. Most of those are just clout chasers. I am referring to people who did not care either way, or who believe that there must have been adverse actions by Harry or Meghan, but now are fully supportive and protective of this couple. In effect, the British royal family and its media and pals failed in their endeavours and have lost much of the goodwill held previously. With weak and or unpopular heirs waiting in the wings, it does not look good for UK monarchy. How much power does the Queen really have? Even though the UK is a constitutional monarchy, it does not have a single codified constitution like the USA. Instead, the power balance between the Crown and Parliament, our elected officials, is mediated by a set of rules known as constitutional conventions, some of which are written down and others that are passed on custom and tradition. In modern practice, the Queen wields no real political power to act independently of the wishes of Parliament or the Prime Minister. The Queen has what is referred to as reserve powers. Technically, the power to the Prime Minister to open and close sessions of Parliament and to approve legislation. These powers, say Philip Murphy, have been heavily restricted by Constitutional Convention. Murphy is the director of the Institute of Commonwealth Studies at UCL and the author of The Empire's New Clothes, The Myth of the Commonwealth. According to Robert Hazel, co-author of a report on the changing role of the monarchy, the Queen has been effectively stripped of all personal discretion when it comes to the use of her reserve powers. For example, she has no real choice as to who is appointed Prime Minister or what bills are made into law. Constitutional scholars write that the monarch has essentially 3 essential rights, and they are to be consulted, to encourage, and to warn. I really do question the need for a monarchy in any country, but certainly in the UK. When you go through that list, you just have to ask yourself, well, what is the point then? Really, what is the point of having them there? Any of them. And definitely not the vast numbers that we have now and are paying for. One day we will see if that question comes up. The presence of so many from the Carnival of so-called experts, and most, if not all, of the royal reporters belong to right-wing sites, the latter of which were certainly members of the now defunct site Parler, combined with the confirmed Internet ID address of Kensington Palace as one of the sources for uploading a video of some footage of the insurrection of the Washington Capitol building on the 6th of January 2021 to the Parler site, as reported in my last podcast. This should be of concern to all sensible people. If you link that to the treatment of Meghan, since it was announced she was the girlfriend of Prince Harry, and the behaviour and their likely involvement in activities of senior members of the royal household in relation to current litigation processes underway, the fact that some people have fallen on their sword for their employers, probably aided by comfortable remuneration via their NDA, their non-disclosure agreements that they all sign, protect the heirs at all costs, etc. Mud sticks at some point, and as things stand, there is a lot of mud on many, if not all, interesting indicators. That's it for today. Speak to you all soon. Bye from Ivy.